Hello everyone, my name is Isaac Taylor, and all my wall stuff is gone. All the records that I have up on my wall is gone because I'm just going to go ahead and do a vinyl record collection. I've wanted this for a while, but I didn't know what I should do and how I should do it, so I decided to just go ahead and do it. The only record you won't be seeing today is my A Moon-Shaped Pool Radiohead record, which is actually what's holding up my camera right now, my phone. It's just a black vinyl of A Moon-Shaped Pool, so that's what it is. I'm going to go ahead and start with a 7-inch that I got for Record Store Day 2018, actually, and that is the story of Yum Yum and Dragon by the Flaming Lips. I only recently became a Flaming Lips fan after listening to Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, and I really liked it, so I decided to buy this record, and it's a very pretty pink type of record. It has lyrics on the back in the record. I actually haven't listened to it yet. I haven't had time to listen to it, but when I get the time, I will listen to it. This is the only 7-inch, well, technically the only 7-inch that I would listen to. I also have this gigantic box of 45s and 7-inches all in here. There's just a bunch of old Beatles and 50s doo-wop in them from my mama and stuff like that. So the first album I actually have, I believe, is one of my most recent acquisitions. No, another one is. This one isn't, but it's the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. This is probably my favorite pop record of all time. I love the harmonies that Brian Wilson pulls off in Pet Sounds, and knowing about Pet Sounds, like the whole backstory, there's a whole film, 2014 Love and Misery, starring Paul Dano. I'm not for sure who directed it. I just know Paul Dano plays Brian Wilson. And what I've heard, he does a really good job. I haven't watched it yet, but I do know just backstories of the Beach Boys and everything that happened. It's a standard black record with a it seems to be rainbow little thing though. I'm not sure actually what that is called. I never thought about that. Next up is, I think, the first record I ever bought, but it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band by the Beatles. A lot of people will consider this to be a very overrated record, and I kind of agree, but I still believe it's like a 9 out of 10. I like the Beatles, just they're heavily overrated, but I still find them very influential to rock and pop in the 80s and 90s. It's a gatefold with all of the Beatles on it. This is a dual LP, no, it's not a dual LP. This side, I got this at a local record shop here where I live. It has little cutouts and stickers, and I like this thing right here you can actually take out and I believe make stuff with. There's stickers and such in them. The record's nothing fancy. I haven't spinned it in a while, but it's just a black Parlophone record. Next up is probably actually my most spinned record of all time, but that's Bottomless Pit by Death Grips' Very Shallow Listening. I'm really excited for their newest record coming out. Death Grips is probably my favorite band of all time. If you saw my last video, I was actually wearing a Death Grips Steroids hoodie that I recently bought. I didn't get it at their tour. I wish I would have went to their tour, but I saw Tyler, the Creator, instead. It's just a black vinyl. I don't remember where I bought this from, but it came with a t-shirt with the Bottomless Pit with the album artwork on it right on the chest. I get a lot of comments about it because I wear it all the time. It's one of my most worn shirts. It's probably over there in that mess. You can also see my Golf LaFleur shoebox. I recently bought the new golf shoes, the burgundy red ones. I love them. But Bottomless Pit, every single song is a banger. I love every song. Death Grips is what got me into hip-hop, which you'll see a few more hip-hop releases that I'll be talking about. But, yeah, I love basically every song on this album. There's just a lot of variety in the productions. It's way more digital. It's more like No Love Deep Web and the first disc of The Powers That Be. I love Bottomless Pit. It's in probably my top 3 Death Grips albums, I want to say. But yeah, I love this album. Next up is an album that I haven't listened to, but I bought completely because it was at my local FYE. and I knew the band. I actually didn't even listen to an album by them, but I heard about the band and heard they were really good. But it's Godspeed You Black Emperor, what's it called? Asunder, Sweet and Other Distress. I haven't even listened to this yet, but I came with a little poster. The gatefold's really dystopian and Orwellian, but the record is just a black record. I haven't listened to it yet, but I've heard like the first song digitally, and I liked what I heard. I really enjoy Lift Your Skinny Fists and F Sharp A Sharp. Those are two of my favorite post-rock albums of all time. I love those albums so much, and they didn't have any other Godspeed records there, so I decided to buy this. Next up is the first album I bought in 2018. I actually talked about it in my album roundup, my first part, but that's Jeff Rosenstock's Post. Really, everything that I have to say about the album, I said in that video. This is the first color vinyl we're getting at, but I got this little splattery, gray, clear album. It sounds really good too on my player. I love it a lot. I'm probably gonna get a better player soon. But yeah, everything I had to say about Jeff Rosenstock's Post is in the actual video itself. Next up is probably gonna be the most controversial record I own, mainly just because of recent things, but that is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. I really like this album. It's kind of hard to listen to now, but I'm not letting his recent actions, because you know those have been known for years. I've kept up with them, ruin it. I actually wish I wouldn't have bought this record, not because of the music or the quality, it's because of the quality of the casing that it came in. I got this at the FYE near me. Actually, the poster you can't see right now, but the blind, because the blinds are covering up, that is the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy poster that comes with all copies. And this little red thing right here, I don't know what that's supposed to be. I know that's not part of the actual record, I don't think. The actual like digital CD copy. But I like every song. It's a really high quality pressing. It's 180 gram, I believe. I could be wrong, but it's super high quality. And I just really like the record. I bought it because, yeah, I had actually just listened to the album, I think, for the first time, and I bought it on record. So, pretty good record. Next up, I kind of talked about this album in my album roundup because I talked about the live version that came out in 2018. This came out in 2016. Best Buds by Mom Jeans, my favorite emo pop punk release of all time. And this is the pressing I got, this purple black. This was actually originally supposed to be green, but you know, I liked all the colors, but that was probably my favorite out of all of them. And I actually ended up liking the purple way more. It's from Counterintuitive Records. The only thing is like it's very low quality, but that's probably just because the actual picture was taken on a probably just an iPhone, and probably like an iPhone 5S, so probably not the best quality. Anyways, you get the rest of the picture on the back. A lot of their tour stuff has the entire image on it. This is the actual record. I would suggest every single song on this album. This is my third favorite album of all time. I only have 2 out of my top 5 of all time, which I'll talk about at a later date. This is third, but I don't have second, which is The Mollusk by Ween. I have actually 2 albums just because they're from the same artist. I think this is actually the only thing I have of multiple artists. I also have the Gerard Way Hesitant Alien, but I got these both. These were actually 2 of the first ones I got, but it's I Brought You Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, and Black Parade. Like these are 2 really good records. I don't listen to this one as much. I listen to Black Parade very often. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite emo releases. It's a really nice gatefold of the band and a bunch of other Black Parade members. I would really suggest just listening to it, like listening to the entire thing. It's just a black record, but the I Brought You Bullets album, I believe was from Hot Topic. I think it was an online exclusive. This really sweet pink record. I think this was the first colored vinyl I ever got. Now, I mostly buy color vinyl just because it's what's out. Next up is my favorite album of all time. I believe Turn Me On this record, or like Mew on 4chan. I don't actually remember but it's definitely the Mucor album. I think but it's still my favorite album of all time. In the Airplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk. Everyone likes this record. I hate to say it, but everyone loves this record. Everyone that I've shown it to who has even the little just desire to find acoustic music, I usually show them this record. It's just a black record. They end up loving this album, and I have the 33 1/3 book on it. It's like the first book I read in years. This album's actually one of my favorites of all time. It is my favorite of all time because I listened to it right around the time I joined Patricia's chart listing on Facebook. And yeah, this was an album that was talked about a lot, and the cover really got me. I was like, what is this even? It ended up being like indie folk album. I ended up really enjoying it, and it's now one of my most listened to of all time and my favorite of all time. And yeah, just listen to it. It's so good. I love it. Next up is OK Computer by Radiohead, the #1 rated album of all time on Rate Your Music. I believe it still is. It's a dual LP. The inside's pretty cool. This is the OK Not OK. I got this at Marshall University, which is in West Virginia. But this is the inside. My school went there, and we were allowed to walk around, and they had this in their shop. They also had, I think, The College Dropout and Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. But I had enough money for OK Computer. Every single song is really good. Of course, the only song I'd say anything bad about is Fitter Happier, but I only listen to it when I'm listening through the album fully. Yeah, I really enjoy this record. I don't believe it's #1 of all time according to Rate Your Music users. Yeah, I think In the Airplane Over the Sea should be, but it's up there at like 15, I believe. But yeah, it's a really good record. I think everyone should go listen to it. I really enjoyed it. This is actually my most recent pick. I got it at, I think, Books A Million, and that is Sufjan Stevens' Illinois. Come On and Feel the Illinois. Sufjan Stevens is one of my favorite artists of all time. As you can tell, I really like folk music, like the indie folk singer-songwriter genre. It was between this and Either Or by Elliott Smith. I ended up going with this. This album is an album I listen to a lot, like all the way through. I usually never listen to this album just by itself, unless we're talking about like Decatur or Come On and Feel the Illinois, or yeah, I think or John Wayne Gacy Jr. There's 3 songs I really enjoy, and if you had to listen to 3 only, those would be the 3 I pick. But I would really suggest listening to this whole thing through. It has a triple gatefold, like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Really good art on your records. I really appreciate like really good art in records. I just think it really adds to the whole experience. This is definitely my most coveted record. It's the See-Through Gold. I got it from, I believe, golfwinning.com, which is where I got the shoes from, actually. If you can't tell, I'm a gigantic Tyler, the Creator fan. This is in my top 10 albums of all time now, even though it just came out last year. Back is just a little B. Album listened to all the way through. I have this on multiple ways. I have a CD, this record, cassette, and multiple digital copies through buying it on cassette and record and Spotify and Apple Music and all that. Really good record. Even people who don't like hip-hop should listen to this album. I believe it's essential listening for 2010s hip-hop. It's really good. I put it alongside Death Grips for essential 2010s hip-hop. Last record of records, I actually have basically stuff to talk about. The Weezer The White Album. This is one of the first that I listened to all the way through. I listened to it actually out of Books A Million. I think I bought it there too, because I heard a lot about Weezer and everyone saying they were such a good band. So I bought this and listened to it, and I really like it. Some of my favorite songs like Endless Bummer. LA Girls is such a good pop song. I love it so much. I love pop rock in general, so good album. I guess I'll go ahead and just talk about the really cringy records I own. I'm really sad to show this, but I bought it a couple years ago. Actually, this is probably like the second record I ever bought. Yeah, it's Blurry Face. I don't even like this record anymore. I used to be a big 21 Pilots fan, but now I'm not. The only album that really came, look how dusty that is, that came from my emo type phase thing, outside of like Mom Jeans, is The Black Parade. As I said, I had Hesitant Alien, which is an actual good noise pop record. No one ever talks about it, but it's really good. I don't listen to it often, so it's really dusty. which I need to go through and dust some of these. And Green Day, American Idiot. I don't even know why I didn't show this one. This is a good record. I don't know what I'm thinking. Dual LP, pretty nice. I hate this though. This is just cringy. Should I go and just show the rest of my actual like things that I collect that I don't have a lot of? Here are my 3 Switch games. I have a Nintendo Switch right here. I want to make more film content, so I feel like one of the first things I'm going to do is a comparison of Whiplash and La La Land. My Whiplash copy is downstairs, but this is the 4K Blu-ray of La La Land. Probably my favorite film of 2016. I actually saw it in theaters, and I was super blown away because Whiplash is my favorite film of all time. I'm going to talk about my favorite films. Probably 3rd or 4th favorite film. It always goes back and forth from Eraserhead and this, but Antichrist, I got the Criterion Blu-ray. Lars von Trier is a pretty controversial figure, but I love this film to death. Your Movie Sucks got me onto this, and if you watch the Sardana cast, they recently talked about it. I think it was episode, I want to say 6. It's the episode that they talked about Boy, the Taiki Waititi, I think that's how you say it though. Yeah, that film. It's a pretty short film. Also, it's only 108 minutes. It's so good. I absolutely love this film. It's my first voyage into more body horror, experimental horror. Here's the inside of the Blu-ray, and it comes with a little booklet. Also, Criterion Blu-rays, if you can get anything on Criterion, go Criterion. They make the best transfers. But anyways, that's kind of all my collection stuff, I believe. I have my shoes, of course, but those are in there. That's it.